right. Well, thanks for joining. So, welcome to the Everyday Tarot Podcast, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille Saunders, healer, tarot reader, and professional witch. And today I'm joined by my guest, Misha Safran. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I lost my mute button. Hello,
Oh,
everybody. I am very happy to be here, and thank you so much, Camille, for having me. I'm looking forward to my card reading, and I'm looking forward to this really scintillating conversation. I am a trilingual leadership coach, keynote speaker, and award-winning trainer. I work with helping relationships in the home and in the workplace, really developing emotional intelligence, communication skills, and resilience, supporting people to live more fully and authentically, but also to have some joy and play in their life. So, yeah, thank you. I've been helping people for 35 years. I used to be an educator teaching French, Spanish, and English, middle school, high school, community
mhm.
college, university. And I'm also a singer-songwriter. And I am queer and queer and queer and glad to be here.
Very cool. Thank you. I'm learning some things about you that I'm like, ooh, I need to ask more about that. All right. So yeah, if you hear this episode and you want to be a guest on the show, I have a link to fill out my guest inquiry. And if you want to connect further with Misha, you can do that. I'll link their website and Instagram website is www.ceeq.org. Instagram is Misha Safran. So just your first and last name. And then I'll let you talk a little bit more about it, but you said you also want to talk about your song release and joy and rest, reset, winter special. Do you want to just talk a little bit more about those right now?
Yeah, sure. So because I know that sometimes coaching can not be accessible financially for people, I created a 21-day joy and rest reset system. It's an
Mhm.
online course. And then when in June, once all the people who have taken it in the winter are finished, we'll do a live Q&A coaching session and everybody can participate. Normally it's $499 and I'm offering it for $99 through the end of 2025. And then my song release, which is, so I am a singer-songwriter. I released a song last January on Martin Luther King's birthday called Are You Willing?
Mhm.
And it's around the death of George Floyd. And this song that's coming out on December 16th, which is the 10th anniversary of my mom's death, is called Heart in the Sky. And I wrote the song for her. And so I was little by little, because it's expensive to produce a song, I have been getting my songs out into the world on a professionally produced level. So I will be able to offer the links to people if they want to join the song release party on December 16th. And it's going to be, for those who are woo-woo, you're going to love this. It's at 4:44 p.m. on
Mhm.
December 16th because I wanted to make sure there was a portal for my mom to join us. So
Oh, very cool.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's very exciting. And yeah, that's coming
And
up
the
very
song is
soon.
about her. Yeah, it's coming up next week. And I guess the thing I probably should have said is the song is about her.
Mm.
It's about her, but it's also my coming out. There are components in there
Mm.
because she never got to witness that. So,
Yeah. So what made you choose 444? I want to know more about the numerology here.
well, because some of the people that I've talked to in the numerology community and also the people who classify themselves as woo-woo said that the 444 is an opportunity for the angels' protection and the portal
Mm.
for the angels. And I really wanted to have a deeper connection. I have a deep connection with my mom, even though she's not here on the physical plane. And I just felt like it was another opportunity for her to kind of slip in. So,
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, very intentional there with your
yes.
timing, which is very fun.
And
Okay. So
and I'll share this at the release party, but 2 weeks before she passed away, she said to me, Misha, you need to sing again. People need to hear your
mm,
voice. And so that's
wow.
where all this is
Mhm.
coming from. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. So yeah, that kind of kicked off your journey back into singing songwriting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, is that a thing you grew up doing and then kind of moved away from it or?
You know, yes and no. It's interesting. I started singing when I was very, very little. My dad played the piano. My sister liked to sing. My mom loved to sing. Family split. We still found our ways to do music. I did musical theater when I was in elementary school, middle school, high school. I sang in bands when I was in college. I sang with the gospel choir. I lived in France for a year, so I sang with the city choir.
Oh, cool.
And then I had children. And so I sang to them, and they're
Mm.
okay. They're okay. They're still alive. I didn't hurt
Yeah.
them. But I would make anything into a song. And so, for a little while, I was singing again with my sister. We both original artists. We like to write our own music. And my mom one day said to her, "Wouldn't you like to have Misha singing with you?"
Mm.
And so, we started singing together. Our band, she called her band was the Bitter Mystics, and we have songs out there. She produced a CD, and then I became her, what she titled as her harmony diva. So we just had a
Mm.
lot of fun.
Very
And then
nice.
as we were doing that, I started writing more songs again. But it really happened after my mom passed away. And I was singing with the Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir. And we were marching across the bridge in Selma, Alabama for
Mm.
social justice, racial justice, and we had our rainbow flags. And it was in that moment where I actually came out. And so this was already 2 years after my mom had passed, and it was just a sign that, I really need to just be me and do me. And then the pandemic hit, and I wrote over 30 songs during the
Wow.
pandemic. Yeah, so I'm
Cool.
slowly producing them and getting them out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost like it's like a healing component or kind of connecting back, like you said, to your mom there. And it also sounds like it's sort of this familial, right? Like doing it with your sister and other stuff, bringing that like component back into it.
Yeah.
It's
And I
very
miss
cool.
my dad playing. He used to play a
Mm.
lot more than he does, the piano. And
Yeah.
he's 80, almost 87, and I know he loves it, but I think he's struggling to remember all I don't know. He just doesn't
Mm.
remember.
Yeah.
He doesn't say, "Hey, we should sit at the piano and play." So that, and also all three of my parents got cancer in 2014, 15. And so they're all, my dad and bonus mom are still here, but my mom passed away. And I think, a lot of things have just changed, the routines and the health precautions and um
Yeah.
yeah, sitting next to each other without a air filter. It doesn't really happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Some
yeah,
of those like barriers.
music is very healing for me and also definitely has been a big part of our family. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we met sort of during the Queer Joy Summit put on by Colette Dalton. What made you want to participate in that?
Oh, I was so excited. So I saw it through Everywhere is Queer.
Hmm.
And then
Okay.
and we reached out to each other like a year ago, and the summit had already happened, I think. But I'm all about joy. Like I am constantly, talking and teaching joy and supporting people in identifying their joy. And I used to have a podcast called Coexistence, Joy, Pain, and Truth, and
Mm.
really working with people around the duality of life, and
Yeah.
so when I saw the Queer Joy Summit, I'm like, oh, this is all, I got to be there. I got to do it. I got to be part of it. So it was really just an internal longing and thing about like being with queer folks in joy,
Yeah.
specifically, that just really warmed my heart and excited me big time. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm like participating in the Everywhere is Queer. Do you want to explain what that is? Or I can, but be curious if you
yeah,
want to share.
I'm part of two platforms, so Everywhere
Okay.
is Here and Hey Fam. And
Okay.
really basically they're a combination of networking, but also small business platform directories. And
Yeah.
but a lot of amazing, wonderful people, of course, because that's what we have in our queer community. And so I just, for me, and I would love to hear actually from you, for me, Everywhere is Queer and Hey Fam is really just another opportunity, one, for me to support other businesses in the LGBTQ plus communities. But it's also been really lovely for me to meet people like yourself and like Colette and get to know people a little bit more so we can kind of, not even kind of, so we can help raise each other up in the world because
Yeah.
it can be hard. It can be hard being who we are, especially in our country right now. So
Yeah.
I just feel like those two collectives specifically support me, but I'm also very active with the National Gay Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, which is a national organization, and then the Golden Gate Business Association, which is the oldest chamber of commerce for the LGBTQ
Mm,
in the history of the United States, here in the San Francisco Bay Area. So the more
very
support we
cool.
can have and gather, the better we are.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's like all those things have support and then also like visibility, which I think is also
Yeah.
very helpful. I know like when I travel now, I go on Everywhere's Queer and I'm like, who's in the neighborhood? Like who can
Yes.
yeah, where can I hit up my local witchy store or coffee shop or whatever it is, like you're saying, to kind of like support queer community out and about. Sometimes we're better about knowing what's in our local community, but it's very fun to get to travel as well and check out some of those places. I know I like to
And
like bookmark them.
almost everywhere we go, you see
Yeah,
there's a business.
yeah,
And Everywhere is Queer has the map, right? You
right,
can look
yeah,
at the whole US map and go, oh, I'm going to be in Maine. I'm going to be here. And lo and behold, look, there's a masseuse or there's a dentist or there's a bookstore. So
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, it sort of makes me realize, like, oh, yeah, like everyone is out here in all different places, even though sometimes, like, I don't know, the media or sort of like the narrative is that, like, oh, if you're in whatever it is, a red state, like you're a lone person. There's only like one of you in that isolation there, where it's like, oh, that's not true.
No, not at
Um,
all. And
yeah,
that's what's really beautiful about Everywhere is Queer because you can actually see the visual of like, look at
yeah,
all these businesses in Texas and in all these places. And Hey Fam too is very similar in the sense that you can go on the platform and look for businesses, and identify what state you're in or location. So yeah,
yeah.
there's just some wonderful things happening for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like you said, yeah, it's kind of like both the support, like net business to business, like networking, and then also like as a consumer or as a client, you get to kind of see what's out there. And yeah, I'm a very visual person, so I love the map on Everywhere's Queer, like you're
Yeah.
talking about. And I know even like living in a fairly like you, like openly queer space, like in cities that were often like sanctuary cities for folks historically. I'm always like, oh no, I know. I know all the places in this community. And it's like, oh no, I jump on there and I'm like, oh, there's a new, okay, let's go over
Yeah, there's
there.
a new
Or,
tattoo artist. There's a new, I mean,
yeah.
like so many amazing things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so fun. Yeah. So, yeah, I want to bring this like into the sort of like mystic witchy tarot side of things. Yeah, would you want to share about, I know I sort of asked you about your experience with it, but what do you like about tarot oracle or when you see readings like done or happening?
Yeah, I will say one thing I love is every single time it's different, even if it's the same card.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
I've also noticed that the person getting the reading is kind of in their own state of like, wow, that's amazing. Kind of like, I don't know, it just feels like the universe delivers what we need to hear or
Mm,
maybe what we already knew, but there's just reinforcement and affirmation. And I remember I got an astrological reading a year or two ago, and I was in shock at really how, and it's because I'm not literate in astrology. I'm not literate in numerology. I'm not literate in tarot readings. And so for me, it's like magic. Like, it's
yeah. Like, where
like,
do they get
wow.
this? Yeah.
Yeah, but for all of you who understand like what's connected and how it's connected, you're probably thinking, and maybe I'm wrong, that yeah, that all makes sense you know?
Mm,
So I just love seeing the ahas that I've witnessed
yeah.
when I've seen other people get their readings done, but I've also really enjoyed the depth that it goes. I think sometimes conversations can be pretty superficial. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, going from that like confused to aha, or like you said, even the same card in a different context with a different person can
Yeah,
be a wildly different message. And I think sometimes
absolutely.
like when tarot is depicted in like pop culture or things, it's very like literal. It's like you've got the death card, you're gonna die. Or like it's very dramatic and very literal. And I'm like in my experience and every like tarot reader I know or when I like do readings for folks, um, it's very often not like that. It's a lot more like you're saying, it's like your unique experience or what do you see in the card this time? Like does a crow mean a certain thing to you? Is that like remind you of someone? Or did you see one earlier today? So that's what I really like about it too. And that sometimes it's hard to like explain to people where it's like, yes, I have this deck and like it has a particular kind of like thing about it. And it helps me to sort of like, in my opinion, like channel messages from the universe to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, what's your, so it sounds like there's sort of like curiosity and interest. What's your like perception of tarot and oracle? It sounds like sometimes you've had astrology readings, so that's like sort of one circle of the witchy Venn diagram. But yeah, sounds like sort of feeling like, okay, that's, I can maybe get readings or like that is an inherent skill some people have. But yeah, what's your general like perception of it?
Yeah, I feel like so I'm gonna share something and it may resonate, it may not. I don't know if it makes anybody angry, we'll see. But I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual
Mhm,
being.
mhm,
And I believe that all of the histories that are out there are stories and teaching,
mhm.
as opposed to necessarily fact. Because I
Yeah,
know that when we play the game telephone, that and there are 10 or 12 people in a circle, it will change by the time it gets to the 12th person. And that's only in a matter of 10 minutes. So imagine what's happened over centuries.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I'm just putting that as a precursor. And so I always have to adjust my body because I have fibromyalgia. So if I move around a lot, that's why. Um, so when it comes to tarot readings, I really find that it's an opportunity to tap into who I am based on what somebody has created. And
Mhm.
it allows me more depth and even creativity in understanding what maybe I wasn't seeing before. So it's like a sign, like a something you get to kind of grab out of the ether and say, oh,
Yeah, like makes it tangible
yes,
almost. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I'm making notes for the future. I'm like, oh, I have more questions. Yeah, yeah. So it helps makes things tangible. I think I
Yeah.
definitely feel that about it's like, the literal cards are a tangible thing, but
But it also,
yeah, it's
oh, go ahead.
no, no, you go ahead. I'm
And I
curious.
notice we have a little delay. So
Yeah.
it also for me, it's sometimes like when I'm coaching and a client is talking about something, sometimes I will hear something they say, but they didn't hear that they said it. And so I
Yeah.
find that, and so then it untaps or unlocks something inside of them when I say, what did you mean by such and such? And they're like, did I say that? I'm like, yes. And so I feel like the cards have the same opportunity, right? All of a sudden you've got this image and this perception or this description, and it's like, oh, wow, that feels connected to this. Yeah, so I just feel like it's another untapping, unlocking of sorts
Mhm.
of something that's already inside of us.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not an expert in this area, so y'all have to tell me if I'm on track or not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, for me, it's kind of like anyone can be an expert on it, right? I think a lot of like some people maybe believe there's like an inherent quality or trait someone has to channel or do other things. But I think a lot of it is like learning and research and reading and doing readings. I know for me, I read for myself for probably like 6 years before I ever talk to anyone else in real life about tarot. And it's a very different experience to see the cards, like you're saying, kind of like through someone else's lens, or, oh, see again like a snake, and that means this to me. Oh, but to them, that means a whole other positive connotation in a different way. And it was very cool to kind of get that like I was gonna say feedback, but also to see, yeah, that kind of it reflects back to people, maybe what they need to hear or what they're maybe already kind of like subconsciously thinking about. And now, like you said, the tangible object or the card or the thing I said, um, clicks something into place for people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, especially as soon as you use the word example snake. I love snakes. I have a
Yeah.
tattoo of a snake on my ankle, and a
Okay.
lot of people are like,
Yeah.
don't come
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So
Again,
so
like
it's definitely
the,
even just in the words and the imagery that someone gets will convey so much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, I love that like that sparked joy for you, right? You're saying like, oh man, I love snakes. Like, how do you, we'll segue into your favorite topic. How do you find joy during like challenging times, right? Or like, how do you go about that?
Yeah, and that's what's tricky for a lot of people is it's I don't know if it's necessarily about finding it, but creating it,
Mm,
and practicing it and sustaining it. So, Dr. Rick Hansen said that in his book, and I don't remember the name of the book, that our brains we stick to negativity like Velcro and
mm.
positivity like Teflon.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And
Yeah.
so when someone says, why should I feel good? The shoe's just going to drop tomorrow.
Mm,
Well, all of it's temporary. So why should you feel bad if joy is going to drop tomorrow? Right? But
mm,
if you
yeah.
cultivate and you practice your joy and you identify what does joy even mean to you, then you can truly step into it when you are having hard times. So I tell people, as somebody who has depression and anxiety and chronic pain, joy saves my life because it helps me tap in. I tap into I'm okay, I'm valuable, I'm loved. There's so many beautiful things in the world. When a butterfly comes and like flutters, or the hummingbird stops at the windowsill, or a leaf flutters slow motion in front of you down to the ground. It's for me, it's when you're in awe
Mm,
that
yeah.
you enjoy, right? But oftentimes we have to create it or recreate it. It's not about necessarily, for some people, it might be finding it, especially if they have a lot of PTSD, a lot of trauma where they've never been able to tap into it. And it's a lot of work. And so, in order to find or create joy, we start with it, and it takes time to save time. That's my mantra. So it
Yeah.
takes time to save time. So it means that you really have to start here and develop what is joy for you. Where is it? Where do you feel it in your body? And then once you figure that out, how can you cultivate it? And then once you figure that out, how can you share it?
Yeah.
So,
Which is like the final boss, sharing it.
yeah,
Spreading it, right? Like
spreading
spreading
it. Yeah,
joy.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how I think like creating practice and sharing. I'm like, oh, that's like what how I think of like ritual space or like even for me, like being a witch, which is something like I identify as. It's like it's not in my, for me, it's not like a thing that I feel like I was born into or like was put upon me. It's like a thing that I chose. And I think, yeah, like practice, which could be like pulling tarot cards or doing rituals. And then I feel like I'm now in the place where I'm like, oh yeah, now I'm in the sharing. Like, doing a podcast about tarot or like doing more like external events that I go and help kind of create maybe that space or practice for other people um, is very fun. But I think even in my, it reflects even my own tarot journey where it's like first in the beginning, I bought a tarot deck and then I like sat in my own house all the time and like spent time like pulling cards or kind of like creating my own practice with it. And then I did it more often. And now I feel like I'm sharing it, that I'm like, oh, that's a really good framework, I think, for like a lot of things. It also made me think of creativity, of the idea of like, oh, I don't have time for creativity or feeling like it has to happen to you. And I feel like a lot of artists and other things are like, no, you have to like make the time for it. You have to, like you're saying, the leaf could fall, and if you're not out there, or if you're not looking for it, if you're not spending time outside every day, like you're not going to see it, even though it's happening. And
Yeah, it's
yeah.
being willing to be open and present to, and that's another piece of joy is being present.
Yeah.
We're so used to being human doings instead of human beings. And so, really identifying, again, I talked about joy being a state of awe, but it's also a state of presence, right? And so, and there's a big difference between joy and happy, right?
Yeah.
Happy is external. Yeah, I get excited and I see things and I'm happy. But for me, that there are things on the outside that can help me tap back into my internal joy. And there are things that might suck my joy out from me. Like
Mm,
what I mentioned earlier with all my parents getting cancer in the same year, it was like, what the,
yeah.
what?
Yeah. That's a real
And so
joy
it's like,
sucker. Yeah.
I felt like there was no joy left. And it's like, oh, yeah, wait a minute. You have it inside of you. You can cultivate it, you can connect to it. And there's no reason to feel guilty about it because in order for you to get through the hard times, you've got to have the good stuff, So yeah, it's just there's awe and there's presence and there's practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Time is like another thing that's like spiraling in my brain now where I'm like, oh yeah, and like how do we, yeah, maybe when you work with clients, how do you like teach people to create time or set aside time or even view time differently, like being present or slowing down? I feel like it's like a fight I have to do as a therapist with lots of people too, which is like, no, it's okay. Like it's a lot of unlearning. But yeah, how do you kind of help and teach people how to do that?
Well, I'm glad you brought that in because time is truly such a misunderstood phenomena.
Yeah.
Like we can literally close like 92 tabs in our brain. And I don't know statistics, but anyways, I'm going to just say it
Yeah.
anyways because it sounds good. We can close 92 tabs in our brain just by doing a breath for 16 seconds,
Mm,
right? So it makes a huge difference, right? So inhale for, hold for, exhale through our mouth for, hold for. You've just quieted your world.
yeah.
And that 16 seconds can be a huge difference between you blowing up at your partner or centering yourself and doing something different so you don't have to apologize for it later.
Yeah. That's that like the phrase you said earlier, the like make time. What was that?
Oh,
You
it
have
takes
to
time to save time.
Yeah, that's I think that like it sounds like it applies relationally too, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, it's a lot harder to like undo
Yeah.
the damage perhaps that you did versus taking the time to like pause before sharing your
Yes.
thoughts with
Yes. And I
others.
know there
Yeah.
may have been someone in the universe that said that before me, but I've never seen it. So I get it. It's mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Misha
Yeah.
said it takes time to
That's
save
right.
time.
Right. Yeah, because it's like it makes me sit with it even. It makes me be like, oh yeah, it takes time to make time. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Um,
Takes time to save time. So, and that comes up because I also talk about urgency causes chaos. And so
mm,
there are times where we have to, like your kid runs out in the street, you're going to have to run and save. But even you need to look both ways before you go across. You're not
mm,
just going to charge out there because then both of you might be dead, right? I mean, not that, obviously I'd want to sacrifice myself before my kid, but there's still a pause. It's a split second or less than a split second, right? But yes, it's in everything we do where if you take that pause, small or large, that will change the trajectory of life. Something's going to be different. Whereas if you rush, you make a mess. You can really kind of damage a lot of things. We don't want to turn in our reports if we haven't looked over them, right? We don't want to send out an email if we haven't reread it once. And maybe we do. And some people are really reactive people. And I used to be extremely reactive. I still have my moments where I fall back into that pattern. But if I can focus more on being in response mode instead of react mode, then that means I'm taking the time to save the time that I would have to apologize for later. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. Yeah. So even if we right get in this practice of like slowing things down, taking breaths, how do we still like hold that when we come up against like a society or a workplace or a family system that loves to operate out of urgency?
That's such a great question. So it's funny because and you probably have this when you're working with your therapy clients, like we can't coach the ghost. We can't do therapy with the person that's not here.
Right.
And so it's an important question because people are like, yeah, I can learn all this, learn all this, learn all this. But if I keep hitting up against this wall or arrogance or narcissism, right? How am I going to, take care of it? And so that's where we
Yeah.
really have to, again, take the time to
Mhm.
evaluate what are my boundaries? What will I accept? What won't I accept? And what will I do if my boundaries are crossed? Will I keep slipping in and being submissive and allow it to happen, or will I take different measures? So we may, be able to work with people and model the new behaviors, which helps these people.
Yeah.
We may have to step aside or step away, I should say, right? So it's not always about teaching the other people. It's about identifying what's working for me and how to deal with that so I can take care of myself in the event I do have to hit up against something. Then do I know it's time to walk away? Do I get help? Because remember, we weren't put on this earth by ourselves. There are other people in the world that can help us if we're willing to take the help. But we also
Yeah.
have to know what kind of help we need so we can ask for it. And that's why it's all about you take the time in the beginning to figure out who you are. And that will change, especially as we age. I mean, I'm 57 years old, and a lot of things have changed in those 57 years as far as who I
Yeah.
am and what I want and what I need. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, when you work with clients, do you start from, I feel like I almost heard you say this, from this like value-based place of like what's important to you, I'm sure also around goals of like what do you want to work on and stuff, but of sort of like, yeah, what is important? Who are you as a person? And then how do you apply that to your life and situations?
Yeah, I will say 9 times out of 10 when people come to work with me because they want to resolve some challenges with other relationships, they have to work on the relationship with themselves first. And I
Mm.
don't tell them that. I let
Yeah.
them discover it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
I'm
the,
not going to say, "Oh, Camille, I think you need to work on you." I don't do that. I'm like, but
yeah.
what's getting in your way of having the relationship that you want? And if everything they say is the other person, that might be true. And so
Yeah.
time to walk away, but something's keeping them, and my wife works as a nonprofit attorney for survivors of domestic and gender-based violence. And oftentimes the people who are hurt the most stay because that's
Mm.
familiar. And it can be
Yeah.
very dangerous to leave or very unsettling because as long as I know I've got this negative attention, it's better than no attention. So working with clients in your area and my area to really identify what are your boundaries? What do you need? How can you get that? Yeah, it's very, very much value based.
Yeah. And I think too, it kind of like helps folks let go of the idea that like they can control others. Cause I feel like that's
Mhm.
sometimes the misnomer about boundaries. Even when like talking to people about it, people
Absolutely.
seem to kind of, it's hard to move into the place of like, oh, that's something I have to do, or like I have to walk away. They might not ever change their behavior, but that way, the only way the interaction is going to change is if I change something about it.
Yeah. And sometimes people are really angry about that. Why do I
Yeah.
always have to be here?
Right. It's like, oh, more work
Yeah. And
for
and why
me.
why can't they why do I have to change?
Yeah.
And usually it's because you're more aware, right?
Yeah.
And then the other piece of that is also knowing that you can ask for your needs to be met, but you might not get them met. So what's the
Mm-hmm.
next step,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can't and this is a phrase I learned in my spiritual community, which is that expectations breed resentments. So if you have this expectation that people are going to be a certain way, you are very likely headed towards resentment. whether it's at home, at work, in your community, your religious institution. If you expect people to be and respond a certain way, it's likely not going to happen that way.
Yeah.
Just to test you, just to piss you off. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think too, that's sort of like the, right, maybe the part of us that like is like, oh, I have to set the boundaries, where it's
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, I can ask, I can put my vulnerability on the line by asking for my needs to be met. And then I have to like see if they're actually going to do it. And then what do I do if they don't? It's interesting because I just think about like consent, right? Of like, yeah, you can ask all you want, but that doesn't mean someone has to meet your needs. And it's just very interesting how much of like, how much is normalized in our culture and society to like not actually be very consensual in that way. It's
Yeah,
sad to me. It's like a very abusive system a lot of the time.
it is. And people don't even
Um,
like I've learned in the last several years, let's see now, what are we, 2025? I guess it's been like 8 or 9 years, even just to ask somebody if they want a hug as opposed to just running up and hugging them,
yeah,
right? Just really wanting to make sure I'm honoring people's space. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, which is very like I have to put, it's almost like I have to put my own things secondary to
Mhm.
like, yeah, how someone else feels about it that I
Because I
imagine
want a hug.
requires. Right,
I
right.
want
It's like it requires the awareness. It
the
requires
hug.
like you knowing what you want, the vulnerability of like kind of asking for that need to be met, and then sitting in the discomfort if they don't want that.
And
Um,
perfect example, I just realized as you were saying that. So my wife, when she's having feelings, she wants the affection and the hug. When I'm
mhm.
having strong feelings, I don't want anybody to touch me.
Yeah,
Like don't touch me. I need to process what's happening. And that used to be really hard for my mom too. Like, "Ugh, honey, I just want, no, I don't want you to touch me."
yeah,
And so my wife and I have had to kind of dance around this. Should I give you a hug? Because I wouldn't want a hug right now, but do you want a
right,
hug? And then the idea that I have to ask her doesn't feel good to her. It's like we haven't had this full-on conversation, but we've navigated it. We've danced around it a little bit. And it's something that we could probably go deeper on if we have two different styles
right.
when there's
What do you
emotion,
do?
what wins? Right?
Yeah,
I don't want her to be without the affection she wants and needs. And I also don't want her to forget and just kind of smother me when I'm feeling like, yeah. So I think it comes down to communication, but we can't have that communication if we don't identify what we want and need.
yeah, yeah. And I think like that's a really great example because it's like, yeah, sure, I can intellectually know this, but then in practice, it's uncomfortable or it's awkward or it's like sometimes it feels right and other times it feels bad, right? Where you're like, I thought I could, right? Like get a hug and then no, I actually, I'm
Yeah.
now I'm like dysregulated or now
Yeah.
I need to kind of like do my own thing. Yeah. And it's always, yeah, when I talk like love languages with like relational clients. It's always so interesting how it's like usually the love that we give is in the same form that we want to receive. And then that's very often different than what our partner or partners actually want. Um,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I learned that because there was a time where my wife was upset and I'm sitting there just letting her have her feelings and like, kind of
Right.
exploring.
Trying to give
And
her
yeah,
space and
I found out
yeah.
later, why didn't you just hug me?
You were like, oh, I did not think of that. Right. Yeah.
So, and I'm so grateful. My wife and I have the most amazing relationship. And so I'm just so grateful we can have those conversations. And
Yeah.
nobody's wrong,
Right.
right? Nobody's
Yeah.
wrong. And so it's just amazing to be able to say, this is what I need. I can do that for you, or I can't do that for you, or I could try this instead, or, but I don't think a lot of people do that. I don't think they talk enough about what they
Yeah.
or they feel a burden to ask for what they want and need, or they feel guilt for taking and doing the things they want and need.
Yeah.
Conversation
Yeah.
just it comes back to that takes time to save time. Just
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that like with boundaries or even like in that kind of situation, it's like actually this sort of like compromise is that like neither of us gets what we want all the time, which is
Yeah.
like not a fun realization to be like, oh, okay, that yeah, sometimes I get a hug and I don't want it, and sometimes I don't give a hug and you really want it, and that
Yeah.
like actually that's like about the best we can do, like you said, other than kind of like talk about it after or before or ask.
Yeah.
Um, that there's like a lot of discomfort I think some people have with that idea of like, wait, what do you mean that like I I don't get everything I want and they don't get everything they want? What's the point? Why are we doing
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. What's the point?
Yeah.
Just give up
Yeah.
now. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's also very funny to me because like whenever I see couples, like relational clients of any kind, like number one goal is always like improve communication. Like that's what they come in with. And a lot of the time I'm like, I see you, I see where you're coming from, and like you're communicating but they're not doing what you want. And like actually that's what you mean by by
By
like you want to
communicating.
improve communication,
Yeah.
right? It's like actually no, you're both communicating. That's happening. It's just that like you're still not getting what you want.
Yeah.
And so now we have to talk about, right, like how to deal with that part of it. Sometimes parts of the communication could be improved. You maybe are missing things, but I think a lot of the time I'm like, like you are talking or arguing, like you are communicating, and you're still feeling like, yeah, some needs are being unmet or feeling hurt. Um, and yeah, I feel like when I tell couples that like you are gonna hurt your partner, I've had some people be like, like, what do you mean? And I'm like, it's gonna happen. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay. But we can't actually just like avoid all conflict, like you're saying, like of like, no, you gotta talk about it sometimes, or like recognize that it's pretty uncomfortable and like the only way to improve things is like to dig into it kind of and talk about times it went well versus not.
Yeah, and also what you're saying, which is really, really critical, is to identify that your partner might not be able to meet your needs.
Yeah, right. And
It's
actually, like, it's
okay.
not their job.
Right, it's not their job. And there
Yeah,
may be other people in the community that could, like, if my partner doesn't play tennis, why would I keep asking my partner to play tennis?
right.
I mean, I don't really play tennis anymore either, but it's like, who else could I play tennis with? And
Yeah,
oftentimes people get into these relationships where they think that person, their partner, their soulmate is supposed to do everything with them.
everything. Yeah,
No, try to let go just a little bit. You got to have a community, right? And then you can have the two of you. But there's all these different areas and places that we shouldn't be forcing our loved ones to do everything with us.
yeah, yeah. And I think sometimes people think that, like, oh, we shouldn't be together because we have too many differences. And I'm like, usually I'm like, no, that's like why you were drawn to each other. Usually, most people don't pick people that are exactly like them.
Yeah.
But then, of course, when we get into conflict, it's like, why can't they be more like me? Why can't they do it the way I do it? And I'm like, well, we zoom out, like, that was never gonna happen.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And that's
it's
hard to see. It is hard to see, especially
yeah,
since you're drawn to the things that are opposite. And then as you get closer and closer, there are some things that mold together or
yeah,
meld together. Not mold, mold is mold, they mold together too. And yet it's the very things that you were attracted to in the beginning that end up pissing you off later.
right. Oh
Right.
yeah,
So
of
like,
course.
how do we navigate,
Yeah, which again, kind of like you said earlier, I'm like, yeah, I think there's like some cosmic, karmic thing going on there, right? Of
Yeah.
where it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, the thing, that sort of shadow work of like, oh yeah, the thing I hate is also like kind of interesting and like, what is it? How do I like work with it when, or even if it's like, actually, that's the part I don't like about myself, right? Of like, ooh,
Yeah.
they're being whatever it is, they're very anxious and that heightens my anxiety or whatever it is.
It's
Yeah.
amazing how much of us we can see in other people, but not until we're like, oh, I do that, don't I?
Yeah.
we're not too proud of it.
Right. Or it's like, oh, why does that bother me so much? Oh, yeah, because like one time someone said that about me and I've like internalized that for 20 years.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think where we went. Maybe we'll go into a card reading.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know you
Yeah.
talked about you're spiritual, you're in the woo community. What does that kind of look like for you as I
So
pull out
I'm
some
not so
cards?
much in the woo community.
Okay. But
No,
you work with the woo
I
community.
have friends who are very woo, and
Okay.
then I have I've had my curiosities, like I've gone to
Mm.
events and
Mhm.
I've gone to different experiences. I mean, I believe I attended your event too at the Queer Joy
Oh
Summit.
yeah, yeah, where I
Otherwise, we
did like
wouldn't
a
have been
collective
connected.
tarot
Because
reading.
and then
Yeah.
so I just I don't know, I just feel like there's a part of me that wants more than what the physical plane of the earth gives. And then there's a part of me that's sometimes like, yeah, whatever.
You gotta, yeah, still gotta like hold on to that skeptical part.
Yes,
So, yeah.
yes. But I don't know. There's not been a lot for me that hasn't resonated in one way. And I think
Yeah.
that's actually the whole part of life is that you have the choice to find meaning
Mm.
or not find,
Yeah.
and sometimes, I saw a funny sign on the freeway the other day. If you've been thinking about buying a new iPhone, here's your sign.
Your literal sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your literal sign, right? And so, but I know there, when I was a mother raising my kids, there were little things I was like, oh, it's a sign. And
Hmm.
so people would tease me because I'd be constantly saying it's a sign. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
But I like to be open-minded and just know that I wouldn't be in this conversation if there wasn't something I'm supposed to learn from it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes
that's
too,
where I go with my
like,
woo-woo.
yeah, that like being open-minded also means being discerning, like you're talking about. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm not gonna just take any information at face value. I'm
yeah,
gonna like look into it, or like you said, I'm gonna maybe I was thinking about that earlier, and then I saw the sign. I guess I'm getting an iPhone. Yeah, of like that like sometimes we want that like external thing
yeah,
to tell us like I'm right or no, I'm wrong. And
yeah,
yeah, I think right, that's definitely traditionally what a lot of people come to tarot for is like, should I be in this relationship or like, should I take the job or not? A lot of these kind of like big decision or yes, no questions. Um,
Well, and
but I think,
I'll
yeah.
give a tragic example,
Oh,
Camille,
okay, okay. Yeah, I
which
want
is
to
like
hear.
really vulnerable. So I know
Okay.
this is
Well,
going to
thank
be
you for
going out.
sharing.
This
Yeah.
is going to be going out to the world. But when I was
Yeah.
a 17-year-old, I had experimented with cocaine.
Okay.
And I told myself that I was going to quit cocaine if I had to pay for it myself, because obviously I
Okay.
wasn't paying for it myself,
Yeah.
or um, or what was the other reason? Paying? No, I think that was it. I said I would quit if I had to start paying for it myself. Well, I did have to start paying for it myself, and I didn't quit. But
Hmm.
then a basketball player died on the basketball court, and turned
Oh,
out
wow.
he had been taking cocaine, and I quit.
Yeah, you're like, that's my sign.
That was
I'm
my
out.
sign. That was my sign, right? But it's
Yeah.
like I had told myself, I'll play here and there and all that, but it was like I will quit if I have to spend my own money. And then I bought it twice with my money from savings from my job, and then that basketball player died. And I was like, "Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm out. That's not going to work for me." So, yes, there are some signs out there, and yet there are also there are signs that never show up, and then you're like, so I don't want to blame my success on that sign
Mm,
because I think
yeah.
I also was discerning in a lot of ways, right?
Right.
Most people who are in their addicted mode would never say it's either this or this. Like,
Yeah.
and while I know that I come from a society of addictions, I have to work extra hard to make sure that I don't do things that are bad for me, right? But
Yeah.
every once in a while, that external sign is very helpful.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes like that is sort of like the thing that's going on in like coaching or therapy. Like it's not that someone couldn't do it on their own or like read the book and find out the thing. It's that like it's sort of like you need an external thing to help hold you accountable. And that's
Absolutely.
like and that's totally okay to be
Yeah.
seeking that. I just think sometimes, yeah, for people that don't utilize that like coaching or therapy, there's sort of this like judgment of like, well, why do you pay someone to like tell you what to do even though you already know what to do?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, like in theory, like you said, I could have totally quit, but I didn't, and so I actually like needed something else perhaps to kind of like kick me in the butt or like whatever it is to kind of like show or be another like sign like we shared that like okay, I really need to do this, or I need to kind of take this responsibility, or checking in with someone every week helps me stay on like the value track that I want to be on.
Yeah, I really like that you said too that there's nothing wrong with needing support.
Yeah,
We,
yeah, because right,
again,
that's the
we were
part
not
earlier
put
you're
on
talking
this
about
planet.
asking for help, right?
Yeah,
Like
we were not put on this
yeah,
planet by ourselves, and there's a reason for that. We are a community and we need people.
yeah. 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 And there's, yeah. And that, like, it's, and that, sorry, but it's not the moral high ground to just do everything on your own, right? Or like to be independent. Like, yes, it can be helpful sometimes, and we shouldn't necessarily always rely on other people to do things for us or with us. And like, yeah, someone that studied anthropology in my undergrad, I'm like, yeah, humans, like we do not do well on our own. We do not fare very well. We get very in our head and make interesting decisions
Yeah,
when we kind of don't have, yeah, support or community or even like accountability, like we're talking about now.
yeah. My catchphrase
Yes.
growing up, my brother used to tease me so much about it was, I'm capable. I'm
Mm,
capable. Like when I
yeah.
would visit my grandparents, whether it be
Right.
Italy or Florida, I would get the chair to stand on the counter to
Ugh.
get to the highest cupboard because my grandma needed something. I can do it, Grandma.
Right.
I'm capable. So, and then
Yeah.
I learned as a mother raising five children that I needed help. I had
Mm,
a car accident. I had a medication that caused seizures. I had all these things that were, universally hitting me on the head. And then sometimes
yeah.
literally where I had to ask for help. I didn't have a choice. I
Yeah.
had to get help. I lost my driver's license because of the seizures. I lost my job because of the seizures, and we had five children. My husband was working. So it was like, I had no choice but to ask for help. And
Yeah.
so the hope is that people will figure out sooner that they are allowed to ask for help.
Yeah.
People
Right.
people love helping,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
That's
mean, as
very
long as you
true.
don't feel like there's strings attached to the help, people really it's a gift. And it's even a dopamine hit for people to be able to help others.
Yeah.
Right? So consider
Yeah.
it a gift. You're giving somebody a gift to help you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and yeah, I appreciate you sharing that story too, because I think for a lot of people, it's like, yeah, the way you learn to ask for help is when you literally cannot like do anything else, right? That's like a very common, right, even in like disability community of being like, yeah, I did it all on my own for like 25 years and then my body gave up on me. And so I needed, right, I had to stop living that way, or I had to ask for help, or like I had to, yeah, stop doing the things I was doing. Um,
When people see me in the airport in a wheelchair, the looks that I get,
oh yeah.
unbelievable, like I'm abusing the system or using the system. And I was talking with
Mm,
someone the other day, and I mentioned that I haven't used a cane or a walker in 5.5 years, but I still have to use a wheelchair when I travel. Her first response to me was, that makes so much sense. Like you've got to save your energy. I was like, wow.
like, thank you. Yes,
Yeah,
you're
you
right.
see me, you hear me,
Yeah,
right? Like it wasn't like, well, why would you need to use a wheelchair? Like she got it.
right.
I told her my condition, she got it. She didn't even argue with me. She's like, that makes total sense. Especially if you're in terminal one and you got to get to terminal three. Like, why would you do that to yourself if there are
Yeah,
support systems out there to help you?
yeah,
Right? There's a
yeah.
phrase I heard, there's no nobility in the suffering.
Mhm.
I don't know where that came from, but there's no nobility in suffering.
Yeah,
Or it's
because
not
yeah, it's like
noble to
usually the
be.
only one paying for it like is yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
you're saying, right? I'm like,
Well,
oh
but
yeah,
my
maybe.
my my wife would pay for it too if I overexerted
Mm,
myself. So in a
yeah,
relationship, the choices I make are also going to
impact them.
impact her
Yeah,
or my children, or whatever it is. I mean, they're all adults now, so. But yeah,
But yeah, yeah. And again, yeah, that there's no, yeah, nobility in that. Because I think, again, like, ooh, American society loves to say the nobility and suffering. I think that's
or
the
I
very
did it. I
right. I did it alone, right? I did
alone.
it with like hard work, which usually means like my literal body. And yeah, and then
And I was
like,
there once. I had
yeah,
a lot of ego in my accomplishments,
yeah,
all myself. I don't need that anymore.
yeah.
And so
Yeah,
maybe
and
it's
I'm
an
like, and
age
usually for
thing.
those
I
of
don't
us
know.
that that's true, it's like the universe laughs at us and is
Yes.
like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, right,
You
exactly.
thought you could get away with this.
You're so
Mm. Oh,
cute.
yeah, yeah. And
All
then,
right.
yeah, I think, yeah, a lot of the time it's like, okay, right, like now I sort of get to like help others through that journey or like in accepting help or figuring out that like, actually, you're the one suffering from this, and like, yeah, how can you accommodate yourself in that way?
I do believe that's why we go through what we go through, so that we can be teachers for others. But we still can't stop anybody from going on their journey.
Yeah,
Like I could
yeah,
warn somebody 5,000 times to wear your seatbelt and not drive 120 miles an hour. But until they actually have their first accident, they won't,
right.
they'll play with
Yeah,
the fire, right?
yeah, right. It's like sort of the irony of humanity that like we can learn about all these things, but that for most people, like you don't understand it until it happens to you. And
Yeah.
then you're like, oh, yep. Someone definitely told me about this. Someone
Yeah.
totally told me that this is what it was like, and I didn't believe them until I sort of had it for myself.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
All right. I'm ready.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have anything you want to ask or learn about, or are we're just openly seeing what comes through?
Yeah. Let's just openly see what comes through.
Okay. I'm looking at some like spreads. There was one I thought was interesting. It was like it's three cards: today's theme, today's blessing, and today's obstacle.
Mm.
Um, and I'm using an oracle deck today, not tarot.
Okay.
And newest
Do we
one.
get to see what oh, thank
Yeah, let
you.
me
Ooh,
here.
Seasons of the Witch.
Seasons of the
Okay.
Witch.
Mm.
Yeah, there and Samhain edition. So they have different pagan holiday editions of this. Um, so let's see. Okay. Okay, and they're all reversed. So today's theme, I pulled, I gotta show myself view again so I can show this. Owl. I'll show it upright so it's easier to see. There we go. So
Oh,
she's got an
interesting.
owl on her shoulder here.
Okay.
So yeah, this deck it says it has like three categories of things. It has like witches, familiars, like items that you use, and then I think like times of year. So this would be kind of like the familiar one. Um, and it says on here, it has like a poem. Behold, sight, O ancient ones, for there is magic in the darkest of places if one dares to open their eyes. And this was for today's theme. I'm gonna look in here to see if it has anything to add. But yeah, what do you immediately when you think of like owls, what comes to mind for you?
Well, before I forget, when you said when one opens their eyes, and we were talking about
Mm,
that earlier, if you're willing to be present and see what's
mhm.
in front of you or feel
Yeah,
what's within you, right? But for me, and for me, I should say, not but, owls have always fascinated me. I feel like they've always been given this character of wise. And I know that like in Winnie the
yeah.
Pooh, it was the wise owl, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's just something majestic for me around owls, the way they are perched up above, and fly around. And
Yeah,
so there's this level of confidence. And I guess maybe that's why there's this perceived wisdom. But I don't know a whole lot about owls. I think they're incredible looking. Um,
yeah,
but that's
yeah,
that's what comes to mind. It's just kind of like
yeah. So yeah, I think the keywords it says here are knowledge and observer. And I
Mm.
think also owls are interesting because usually like you see them in the transition time between like day and night.
Right.
Right? They have very good vision. We don't necessarily as humans have great night vision. So usually we see them as it's like dusk. But yeah, they do sort of, lord above us in the trees and such
Yeah.
and watch a lot of things, right? They have very good vision and can turn their head very far to observe things. So I pulled it in reverse. For today's message, it says, Owl in reverse calls for discretion. Those who hold knowledge must also know when to share and when to hold back. Giving too much of your energy away can cause you to feel depleted or taken advantage of. There are those who seek to steal your energy and drain you of your time and resources. Observe carefully before making any decisions about how to act, when to share, and who to invite in your inner sanctum. An owl never rushes and is ever mindful of the balance between danger, risks, and reward.
Wow.
That feels very apt for our conversation today.
Totally does. Yes. Going back to that urgency causes chaos and being present and preserving our energy and our time and our space even. Yeah. That would be
Yeah.
quite apropos.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I've never thought about it, but yeah, I think their hunting style is very like watch for a very long time and then kind of like swoop down and get your rodent when the time is right. So it's
Yeah.
also, yeah, very like discerning in that way. They're not just going to go after anything.
And let me
Um,
just make it very clear that neither Camille nor I think, believe our clients are rodents. We're not
no,
trying
no,
to
no.
swoop
Also,
in.
I'm like, rodents have their place. Like, rodents are okay. But yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, I see a lot of owls now where I live. We have like a lot of forest around
Oh,
us,
nice.
and uh, next to our property is like uninhabited timber forest for like hundreds of acres. So there's a lot of wildlife. And
Wow.
yeah, I've seen many owls. There's like a great horned owl pair that hangs out around here. Um, but yeah, I do feel like they're just sort of always like watching, and like to hunt at night as well at dusk. But yeah, their sounds are very cool. Other than
Yeah.
that, I've only seen an owl like a couple other times, um, like while hiking or at my old house, we had one come after a couple of years of living there. And I was very proud of that because I like lived in the suburbs and I was like, oh, the wildlife is coming back to our area. And
Oh,
I know. And like, yeah, we definitely, whoever lived there before us used to have like a lot of rodent poison. And like the
oh,
challenge with that is that like if owls, right, eat the poisoned rats, then they will die too.
yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, part of my, I have chickens, so they do attract rodents because they have food, their grain over the ground and stuff. But
Yeah.
the owls like help take care of that, or if you have cats. But okay, so for our second card, should we go back to the spread? Today's blessing. Okay, it says nature spirits. Well, let's see here. We have kind of a
Yeah.
So it's like a girl in a bed and she's got like antlers and we have like a, I don't know, a crow maybe. I also like that it's like a bed in the forest.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like a fun image. It says, on your toes, twirl and twirl until you're ready to take flight. They arrive in the winds beneath your wings and speak through the swaying of the trees.
Hmm.
Very like mysterious, mystical.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So the words associated with this one are sacred and playfulness. That also feels very appropriate
Did
for
I,
our
did you say
conversation.
keywords? You kind of
Yeah.
did. Sacred,
Oh,
sacred
sacred
and playfulness?
playfulness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this one's also reverse. So it says, this card in reverse means playfulness. The
Mm.
nature spirits want to have fun and enjoy the beauty of the earth. There must be a balance to every energy, and balance to seriousness is playfulness. When you're overwhelmed, allow yourself to do something silly or childish. It will lighten the mood and help you to see things from a new perspective. There are times when things are so hard that the only thing left to do is to laugh because it's the only way to get you through it. Silliness can work wonders when times are hard. Give it a try.
I love it. So one of the things we didn't talk about earlier is I'm a laughter yoga facilitator. So I teach
Wow,
people
that's
how
cool.
to do laughter exercises and breathing exercises, and it's really to learn how to laugh for no reason at all, so that you can get childlike and playful and kind of combat the ugliness that you can feel with all the drudge and
Mm.
chaos of the country or the world. So I thought is so cool. I love that you pulled that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, about that, like creating kind of like the
Oh,
thing that you need, like creating the joy there. Okay. And the last one is for today's obstacle. And I pulled pumpkin here.
oh,
So
interesting.
she's got a pumpkin
Those
in a
trees are
very
really
like,
cool in the background too.
yeah, a very like fall looking scene. Actually, all these cards have like those trees. There's the,
Oh,
whoa, it's zooming in. Sorry.
oh,
And then this one too, kind of
oh,
on the edges.
did we see?
Um, I pulled this card the other day and it actually has a pumpkin cake recipe in the tarot book. So I
Oh,
made pumpkin cake the other day, which was very fun.
oh,
Um,
good.
yeah. So again, this is today's obstacle. It says, when pumpkin is in reverse, know that you are a creative force capable of drawing wealth and joy. You are a vessel that can hold many things at one time. You're capable of creating beautiful things. Your creative power has no limitations. You're being guided to explore the ways fertility shows up in your life. You do not have to be with child to be fertile. Artistic endeavors are a type of fertility as well. Explore different ways to tap into the creative energy that lives inside you, whether it's painting or making paper. Very interesting. Or making cake, which
Wow.
is what I did the other day. Yeah. So yeah, our obstacle is sort of, it sounds like, yeah, creating tangible things, kind of like doing art.
So that's
And
an
the,
obstacle, or that's a, what does that mean?
yeah, so it's set, right? The idea for this card was today's obstacle. I would say that maybe sometimes we feel that like creativity feels like there's a block between us and that, or like it even says like you can hold many things at one time. Like if even if the world is challenging, right, we can still bake a delicious cake and like that can be fun and we can find joy in that or making something beautiful. Um, and it sounds like too that there's sort of
Yeah.
this like make sure you're looking around your life and having like gratitude for it, like the way abundance or fertility shows up.
Mhm.
Um, that we're like acknowledging the places where we are having creative energy and the things we are doing, even if I know for me, like in the winter season, it often feels like, oh, I'm not as like productive or I'm sitting around more, or just that kind of that like it's okay. um, that we're still sort of having ways of being creative. I know I'm going to be like decorating my house and tree a bit this week. And that, like, yes, it's inside, and yes, it doesn't feel like super productive necessarily, but it's like fun and joyful. And then you get to kind of like enjoy the outcome as well.
So I think it's interesting what you just said, because I think that's a society blemish, which is that how are we defining productivity? Like you are going to
Yeah.
be productive.
Yeah.
You're going to be productive in a fulfilling way that
Yeah.
really nourishes you in your soul and your home and the aesthetics and the feelings. And oftentimes people label those kinds of activities as not being productive because what, you're not getting work done. So
Right.
I'm like, I had to like call that out for a moment because like, it
Yeah.
drives me
Yeah.
crazy. In order
Yeah.
for us to be human beings in harmony, we're productive in a multitude of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's important to kind of like have that multitude too.
Yeah.
And that like there's no nobility in just like being really good at one thing or
Right.
doing your work
Right.
really well. It's like, okay, are you also, yeah, like spending time with family? Are you also going on nature walks outside? Or how are you contributing to your environment or in your family system? Yeah. Very
Mhm.
nice. Okay. Well, thanks
Yeah.
for indulging me on some card pulls today. That was very
Yes. Thank
fun.
you.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think I'll go ahead and wrap up. So if you
Okay.
want to connect further with Misha, you can do that at their website, www.ceeq.org. You can find them on Instagram at Misha Safran. Nope, just Misha Safran slash. If you want to be a guest on the show, I do have my link to fill out the guest inquiry. And links for the tarot deck I talk about will always be in the show notes and on my website if you want to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast is coming out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. You can email me, me@camillesaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right, see you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.